Mark was an ordinary guy, living in a modest apartment in a bustling city. At 32, life hadn't turned out the way he had hoped. He had a stable job as a graphic designer, but it barely paid the bills. For years, he felt the weight of his student loans and credit card debts pulling him down. But Mark had always been an optimist. He believed he'd find a way to turn things around. One evening, after work, he received a call from his old friend, Jake. "Hey, Mark, want to hit the casino tonight? It's on me." Mark hesitated. He had planned to take the $10,000 he had managed to scrape together to pay off a significant part of his debt. However, the allure of a night filled with glitz, glamour, and potential riches was enticing. Against his better judgment, Mark decided to join Jake. The shimmering lights of the casino flickered in the night, a siren's call of excitement. As they entered, the sounds of clinking chips and laughter enveloped them. Mark felt a twinge of hope. Maybe tonight would change everything. They started at the blackjack tables. Mark was surprisingly lucky at first. The cards favored him, and he quickly doubled his money. With a gleam in his eye, he thought about what he could do with the winnings. Maybe he could finally pay back his loan and still have something left for a fresh start. But luck has a funny way of turning. As night turned to early morning, the cards turned against him. One hand after another slipped away, and dollars vanished like smoke. Just one more game, he whispered to himself, convincing his mind to take the risk. But the luck had run out. The $10,000 he had brought to erase his debt was now gone, swallowed by the casino's greed. The realization hit him hard, like a punch to the gut. Panic surged as he grappling with the grim reality. He had come to pay off his debts, and now he had nothing. Shaken and desperate, Mark left the casino feeling numb. He couldn't go home empty-handed. He feared facing his creditors and the judgment of his friends and family. Mark decided to borrow money. He started with Jake, who was celebrating his own wins. "Man, I just lost everything," Mark confessed. "I need a loan, like $5,000. Jake laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Mark's face was stone cold. "I'm serious," Mark said. But Jake's smile faded. "You know I can't. I barely have enough to keep myself afloat after last night," he replied with a hint of guilt. Mark felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He turned to other friends, classmates, and even the few family members he felt he could trust. Each conversation ended in disappointment. "Sorry, I wish I could help, but, or, I can't lend you money right now." The answers were always the same, and Mark's desperation continued to mount. Days turned into weeks, and every day was more miserable than the last. The phone calls from creditors became more aggressive, and Mark's anxiety rose to unbearable levels. He felt isolated and ashamed. As he walked through the streets of his neighborhood, he saw people living their lives, seemingly free from worry. In the dim light of his apartment, Mark sat thinking about his options. He felt tempted to return to the casino, hoping to win back what he had lost. But deep down, he knew it was a dangerous game. One rainy night, he received a call from his landlord. "Mark, your rent is due in 2 days. We need to talk about your situation," his landlord said sternly. The reality of losing his home created a sense of urgency unlike ever before. Socked by despair, Mark wandered the streets aimlessly. As he passed the old community center, he remained lost in thought until he noticed a flyer on the wall. It was advertising a local gambling addiction support group. Would they be able to help him? On a whim, he decided to attend the meeting. Inside, he met others who had faced similar battles. They shared their stories of loss, struggle, and resilience. For the first time, Mark felt understood. He realized he wasn't alone. After the meeting, he approached the group leader, Sarah. She listened intently to his story. "Mark, it's never too late to start over," she said softly. "Sometimes, seeking help isn't just about money, it's about rebuilding your life." With Sarah's guidance, Mark found a new sense of purpose. Instead of chasing quick money, he began to focus on financial literacy and budgeting. He took small steps to reconnect with his friends, apologizing for not being himself and explaining his situation. Gradually, his friends began to understand and support him. They didn't lend him money, but they did offer opportunities. Mark started taking on freelance projects, which opened the door for more work. With each small paycheck, he began to feel a sense of control returning to his life. Months passed, and Mark slowly began to pay off his debts, though it was a long road. He stayed committed to the support group, and the connections he made there became invaluable. Mark learned that sharing his experience helped not only himself but others in similar situations. Eventually, he paid off his debts and found a renewed sense of hope. He realized that life wasn't about getting rich quickly but rather building a stable and fulfilling future. As he approached the one-year mark since that fateful casino night, Mark looked back at his journey with gratitude. He had emerged from the darkness, wiser and more resilient. He may have lost $10,000 that night, but he gained something far more significant: a new outlook on life and the knowledge that true success comes from hard work, perseverance, and support from those who care.